I know people say women are shit drivers. I completely stand against that. I will race you and I will win. Anna Rodriguez, and I am known as HerWheels, and that is an automotive blog as of now on Instagram. And in terms of automotive, I do reviews and fun videos and blogs and just cover fun things about cars. I learned driving, it was from my mum, because my mum drove before my dad in over here, because back then when you wanted to get a license you needed an approval. It was my mum who got that letter before my dad. I got my license a couple of days after I turned 18 years old, because I started my classes at 17 and a half. So the minute I was 18, I was like, I need my license in my hand, because I did not want to take the metro to university. I didn't get a brand new car because I was an 18-year-old. My parents would not trust me with a brand new car. And of course, since I didn't earn at 18, I couldn't buy my own car. So my mom gave me her car. It was handed over to me. So it was a Honda Civic, the 2005. I think the first time I drove, I was excited. I was like, yo, I want to drive, because I always drove with my mom. So since my mom was the first one to drive at home, she was the one, whatever I know in driving, I would hand it over to her. Because I mean, I know people say women are shit drivers. I completely stand against that. I will race you and I will win. We were parked at the gas station. It was my entire family, my mom, my dad, and my sister and I. And my dad's like, hey, why don't you drive us home? And it was really close to home. And I was like, okay, let me drive you. And I get into the driver's seat, buckle up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm driving my fam. I swear to God, I exited that gas station so fast. My parents were like, oh my God. They were horrified. They were like, Jesus Christ, we were just gonna die right about now. My mom's like, this one's a wild one. Like, something is not right about this car. So I think that's actually the first time I drove that car. Everything I know, I think I would owe it to that car, because that's where I experimented with everything. So whether it came to having my first accident, everything happened with that car. So I drove that for a good 3 years, all through university. And finally, once I graduated, started working, and then I got to getting my own car. But I think the Civic is what taught me everything. I think the first time I raced in it, which was really stupid, because again, we're talking 4 cylinders, but then who cares as long as you're beating someone else. So it was a 5.0 Mustang, and the guy was just too much of a chicken to drive, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So I mean, that's kind of what boosts your confidence, I think, because when you're kicking someone's ass in a 5.0 and versus a 4-cylinder, you're just like, buddy, you don't know how to drive. It's as simple as that, because it's either the driver or the car, right? Little things like these that got me more into getting with cars. I would love to sit on Jumeirah Beach Road. So we'd go for family dinners, and I'd be like, we have to sit outside, right at the road, because there's a hump. Everyone slows down, and that's where they pick up. And I'm like, oh man, this is it. So every time I'd be there, I'd look at cars and be like, this is what I want. And after I got my license, I still did that. It was just in different locations. But I mean, if you want to see cars, I think more than the showrooms, go to Jumeirah. You'll see them all. I mean, be them Kharoofs, be them whatever, they're there. Well, HerWheels is 1.5 years. I meant to start it way earlier, but what really got me thinking that I need to do something with cars is every time I'd look through my gallery on my phone, I would look at more car pictures than anything else. And by car pictures, I mean things on the street, so it's spotting cars, going to car shows, getting all those pictures. And I was like, why am I not doing anything with this? Why am I not putting these pictures out there? Because they're beautiful pictures. And what better way to do it in this day and age than actually put it up on Instagram? And that's when I said, hey, you know what? I need to create a brand. And it had to be different. People had to know there's a girl behind it, because that's not so common in this market, especially. I mean, abroad, yes, worldwide, there are a lot of girls who do this, but in the Middle East, very, very few. So it had to be very obvious that a girl is doing this, and that's why her, like a girl's, wheels, and UAE, of course, because I was born and raised here, this is home for me. That's how the handle came into existence. So I think Instagram is a beautiful platform. Like I mentioned, I started as Anna Rodriguez, and then I put it as HerWheels, because I started getting a lot of likes and appreciation and stuff like that, just like, you know, people talking. So the good people were like, why aren't you doing anything about this? Like, you know, there are not many girls who do this. And again, I'm not featuring supercars. You will see Viteks. Today I posted a Y60. You will see Ferraris. You will see Rolls Royces. You will see friggin' regular cars. So you would see Jeeps. You would see patrols. You would see anything. So it's not a page for supercars. this. So I don't, when people go like, are you the next Supercar Blondie? I say, absolutely not. She does whatever she does fabulously, and that is not my target. That is not my market. I am probably the same, but my market's very, very different. Because I would go for, I mean, Mustangs. The classic Mustangs excite me. Vitics excite me. But if you were to give me a Vitic and a, let's say, Ferrari, the 458, and if it's a tuned Vitic, I'd pick the Vitic. You know what I mean? Because it's so different. Like the other day I was on Beach Road and there was a Bugatti. I was like, oh my god. And then there was a Ferrari. I was like, yeah, okay, well, okay, khalas. Like, you know, it's the same thing. But then the minute there's like this Vitic going stu I mean, I'm just like, oh my god. You know, I'm getting up. I'm just like, who, what, where, how, who was it? I would say the car community, I really got more aware about it once I started posting on Instagram. So the first event that I attended was at Canadian University, and it was a really tiny event. It was called the CUD Motor Fest. And how I came across that is everyone was posting about it on IG, and I was like, oh, you know what? It's really close by. It's close to home. Let me just check it out. And I do get there, and I see a bunch of very different cars. And by different, I mean there's a Rolls Royce, there's a 4x4 squared G-Class, there is a Skyline, there are modded Chargers, slammed Challengers, and I was like, you know what, this is cute, it's really nice. And I did have someone tell me that, hey, you took a bunch of pictures at CUD, and because it was on my Instagram, he's like, can you send them over? Also, there's GCF happening, which is Gulf Car Festival. Again, 2 years ago, and I was like, okay, never been to it, so let's check it out. Check that out. Again, went as HerWheels. So it was very new, it was in the infancy of HerWheels. It is a very passionate page, so that's where these were the first few events that I attended, and I looked at the community, and I was like, this is beautiful. And this was the Gulf Car where it rained, and people didn't give a shit. The drift was still going on, and a friend of mine was the tire sponsor that year, and he was like, this is even better. There's water and we're drifting. Like, what can get better? So all of these things, I mean, it was just little things, and I was like, you know what, this is a beautiful community, and it's a shame that I wasn't a part of it earlier. And over the years, I think there are beautiful events that go out in Ramadan. Every now and then we do drives together. You have Dubai drives, you have flat 12 events, so it's nice that everyone comes together and does this. I know a certain someone who brings these people together every now and then, and I love that. And I would literally never miss an opportunity to attend these events. So I wouldn't say someone, I would say some people. So there were 3 people in my head, you know, the first people that come to head. Number 1 is Motion Arabia. They bring car enthusiasts together. Number 2 is Flat 12. He does events where everyone again comes in together. And number 3 would be the bike drives. So it's nice because, like I mentioned, at these events you have kids, you have grandpas, and you have people like us. You can bring your wife to these things. It's decent. It's nice. It's things I can bring my parents to. I'll be like, hey mom and dad, come with me and, you know, have fun with us. So it's things like little drives. It's things like Ramadan drives. Before iftar, we meet, we drive our vintage cars. And I don't own one, but I can still be there and I'm accepted. So that's what's important. I think acceptance for anyone. You could be anyone, come with any car. I know people who come in like Corollas there, but they're still welcome, which is so nice. I mean, come on, who comes in a Corolla? Because that's the thing. Like, if it were me, I'd be like, oh snap, people gonna judge, you know? Like, I wouldn't take my mom's X-Trail to it. I'd be like, oh, how am I gonna go in this? You know, it's a car event. I'm supposed to show up it. But then if you love the cars, you can show up in whatever you want and you park wherever. Fine, people are not gonna take pictures of your Corolla, but you were brave enough to show up and no one's dissing you for it. As HerWheels, I think I was also recognized by the dealerships and companies primarily because they found me on Instagram as HerWheels. So they understood that, all right, the girl can talk, she knows about cars, let's bring her up. So we did a couple of trial runs and everything. The reviews did very well. All of them are on YouTube, so that's pretty much what HerWheels stands for. So, and I do try to look at a lot of empowerment in regards to girls doing this, because then again, you barely see them do it, and if they try, it's not very simple. I know I myself get a lot of trash for it and a lot of hate for it, so I can obviously imagine how hard it must be for women to be doing this. So I was fortunate enough that last year I was one of the only women in the Middle East doing reviews, and I was credited for that. So there was a forum called the Women in Automotive Arena, and I got the chance to be speaking on that as to how do women actually get here. And once you get there, can you stay or do you fizzle out? Because yeah, people are going to push you down. They're going to be like, please get out of this car, going back into the kitchen, you know, stuff like that. Of course, I've gotten all of that. Like, please make us a sandwich, you know, please stop doing what you're doing. So it's been challenging, yes, to stay. And like I said, I'm not looking at a commercial growth. So I think it's very important, and the whole concept of Her Wheels and the name having her in it. It could be his, but it's her. So yeah, I think the whole point why I really wanted to make sure that it was a feminine name to it. And then again, I do have girls watching my reviews who probably are very girly, and they actually asked me, hey, can you show us what the mirror looks like in the visors? And I was like, no one has ever asked me that. But making someone's dream come true, I did do that for a friend of mine. He's a very good friend of mine. I've known him for almost a decade, and unfortunately he is on a wheelchair, due to which he never gets the chance to get into cars. He loves cars, and I look at him talk and I'm like, dude, I just wish you had the opportunity to sit in one of these. It was my birthday early this year, and a friend of mine was attending one of the GTR meets. He owns an R34, and I happened to be at my friend's house the same time because we had to pick him up and go all together to this party. So I told him, I was like, Adrian, you know, you've always mentioned that you love the R34 and how dear it is to you. He loves Paul Walker just like you do. And my friend was passing by and he was coming to wish me happy birthday, and I was like, this is perfect. I'm at his house. Like, everything just fell in place. So to my good luck, Adrian lives bang in the middle of Jumeirah, but the streets are empty because it's the housing areas, and he just did what he did. And Adrian was like in tears. He's like, oh man, this is it. And I think that moment for me, just looking at Adrian, because for me, I've been in a GTR a million times, like, I've lost count. But it's not something that would make me shed a tear, you know what I mean? So it's not emotional for me, but for this guy, he actually just sat there and was just like, tears are rolling down him, and it was out of happiness. And that side, I was like, you know what, it's worth it. Like, it's not for me, it's for him. He's the only person that comes to mind, and it was just so beautiful to see.
Fight back.